In furthering the development and welfare of scheduled tribes, sir, I provide in the budget for the year 2020-21 an amount of 53,700 crores. For scheduled tribes, I repeat, we provide 53,700 crores. This government is mindful of the concerns of senior citizens and Divyang. Accordingly, an enhanced allocation of about 9,500 crore is being provided for 2020-21. So now I move to the second of the third topic theme that I have, which is culture and tourism. Our government proposes to establish an Indian Institute of Heritage and Conservation under Ministry of Culture. It shall have the status of a deemed university to start with. Acquisition of knowledge in disciplines such as museology and archaeology are essential for collecting and analyzing scientific evidence of such findings and for dissemination through high-quality museums. Currently, lack of trained manpower is a handicap for both these disciplines, and therefore it also has a negative impact on tourism. 5 archaeological sites would be developed as iconic sites with on-site museums. They are Rakhee Ghadi, Haryana; Hastinapur, Uttar Pradesh; Shiv Sagar in Assam; Dholavira, Gujarat; Adichanallur, Tamil Nadu. I repeat, 5 archaeological sites would be developed as iconic sites with on-site museums. They are Rakhee Ghadi, Haryana; Hastinapur, Uttar Pradesh; Shiv Sagar, Assam; Dholavira, Gujarat; and Adichanallur in Tamil Nadu. Our Prime Minister in January 2020 announced recuration of the Indian Museum in Kolkata, which is the oldest in the country. In the historic Old Mint Building, Kolkata, a museum on numismatics and trade will also be located. 4 more museums from across the country shall be taken up for renovation and recuration so that a world-class experience can be offered to our visitors. Our government shall also support setting up of a tribal museum in Ranchi, Jharkhand. So I spoke about the Sindhu-Saraswati civilization. A maritime museum would be set up at Lothal, the Harappan Age maritime site near Ahmedabad, by the Ministry of Shipping. I propose to provide 3,150 crore for Ministry of Culture for the year 2021. Sir, India has moved up from the rank 65 in 2014 to 34 in 2019 in the Travel and Tourism Competitive Index, the World Economic Forum's index. Foreign exchange earnings grew 7.4% to 1.88 lakh crores for the period January to November 2019 from 1.75 lakh crores. From 1.75 lakh crores, it has gone up to 1.88 lakh crores. Growth of tourism directly relates to growth and employment. States have a critical role to play. I expect the state governments to develop a roadmap for certain identified destinations and formulate financial plans during 2021 against which specified grants will be made available to the states from the center in the year 2020-21. For purpose of tourism promotion, sir, I propose to allocate 2,500 crores for 2020-2021. So I now move to the third under this theme, environment and climate change. In September 2019, the Prime Minister has launched the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. with its secretariat in Delhi. This global partnership is the second such initiative, international initiative, after the launch of, as members would recall, after the launch of International Solar Alliance. That was in 2015. This global partnership will help in addressing a number of sustainable development goals, as also the aims of Sendai framework. It will enhance climate change adaptation with a focus on disaster-resilient infrastructure. India submitted its nationally determined contribution under the Paris Agreement in 2015 on a best effort basis, keeping in mind the development imperative of our country. Its implementation effectively begins from 1st January 2021. Our commitments as action will be executed in various sectors. Honorable Speaker, sir, I interrupt here only to say this is a very important point, because a lot of our commitments which have been given in the Paris Climate Change Conference on best effort basis will start kicking in from 1st January 2021. Our commitments as action will be executed in various sectors by the departments and ministries concerned through a normal budget process. They will do it through the normal budgeting process. There are, however, yet thermal power plants that are old and their carbon emission levels are very high. For such power plants, we propose that utilities running them would be advised to close them if their emission is above the preset norms. The land so vacated can be put to alternative uses. In large cities having population above 1 million, clean air is a matter of concern. I'm sure a lot of our members will be keen to know about what steps are being taken for cities and clean air. The government proposes, Honorable Speaker, to encourage such states that are formulating and implementing plans for ensuring cleaner air in cities above 1 million. Parameters for the incentives would be notified by the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change. Allocation for this purpose is 4,400 crores for 2020-2021. So there is something which, before I move to talking about governance, because the three themes that I put before the members is coming to a close, I fall back on the wise words of Thiruvalluvar. And this, it's very important, sir. We have heard several words of wisdom from Thiruvalluvar. Thiruvalluvar has spoken about what a good country is. What a good country is actually got to be like. And what makes up for jewels of a good country. I first read it in Tamil, then I'll give you the meaning. Pini inmai, selvam, vilai inbam, emam. Pini inmai, selvam, vilai inbam, emam. Ani enba, nattin vaindu. Ani enba, nattiv vaindu. There are 5, what Thiruvalluvar says, which are jewels for a good country. The first is pini inmai, meaning the country will have to be without epidemics or illnesses, major illnesses. The second, he says, it should be wealthy. It should have wealth. It should have wealth. Vilaivu. It should also have velachal. In the sense, from the fields, it should have good crop. It should have inbam. It should have happiness. It also should have emam, which is security and safety of the country. Sir, the 5 jewels. 5 jewels. Pini inmai, selvam, vilaivinbam, emam, and inbam. Prime Minister Modi, Ayushman Bharat, Ayushman Bharat for health for all is penny in mind. Selvam, Wealth creators will be respected in this country. Wealth creators will be respected in this country. Selvam, Vilaychal, having good crop, farmer PM Kisan, doubling of income, use of fertilizers and proper growth leads to surplus in horticulture, surplus in Tilhan, surplus now probably also in Dalhan. So the Prime Minister's program at health, at creating and giving respect for wealth creators and improving agricultural output and looking at ease of living, bringing happiness to people, and above all, the fifth aim, this country's national security. You have enough proof to say national security is the top priority of this government. So, if Thiruvalluvar,
आपको कुछ होना चाहिए, तमिल में पढ़ा है, बैठ जाइए.
that's right, sir. If Thiruvalluvar identified the 5 jewels for a good country, those 5 jewels are the ones which Prime Minister Modi is now addressing through his programs. For health, Ayushman, for wealth creators, a respectable and honorable climate, good crops, happiness through ease of living, and national security. So, now with all that said, the bouquet of flowers which I would like to give every citizen with trust and faith, had flowers under aspirational India, had aspirational India, a set of flowers under aspirational India, had set of flowers under environment and economy and also commerce and industry. A third set of flowers was under the caring India, caring society that we want to have. Now this bouquet of flower is held by 2 hands, governance and the other financial institutions. I speak about governance, sir, which is very important. Good governance is what is going to be giving faith to the people. Honorable Speaker, sir, all the while I have explained the color and composition of the bouquet of flowers, schemes and programs. They were grouped under aspirational India, economic development and caring India. Now I speak about the 2 hands that will hold them. One such a hand is governance, which is clean, corruption-free, policy-driven, and good in its intent. And most importantly, trusting in faith, trusting every citizen, the aspirational youth, the hard-working women. Honorable Speaker, sir, trusting every citizen, I repeat, trusting every citizen, the aspirational youth, the hard-working women, the risk-taking entrepreneur, the ever-hopeful and untiring farmer, or the wise and old senior citizen. Many among them are taxpayers. Others may not be taxpayers now. Our Prime Minister has laid before us ease of living as a goal to be achieved on behalf of all citizens. An important aspect of both ease of living and ease of doing business is fairness, efficiency of tax administration. We wish to enshrine, this is important, Honorable Speaker. This is important, sir. Money being allocated to various programs is finance of this country. This is very important, sir. Businesses should have the confidence that things are being fair and the efficiency of the tax administration. We wish to enshrine in the statutes a taxpayer charter through this budget. A taxpayer's charter is getting institutionalized into the statutes. It's going to be enshrined as a part of our laws. That's building trust. A taxpayer's statutes will be a part of our, a taxpayer's charter will be a part of our statutes. Our government would like to reassure taxpayers that we remain committed to taking measures so that our citizens are free from harassment of any kind. We mean it, and we are willing to put it in the law. Tax harassment cannot be tolerated when we are talking about citizens and wealth collectors. There has been a debate about building into statutes criminal liability for acts that are civil in nature. This is important, sir. There has been a debate about building into statutes criminal liability for acts that are civil in nature. Hence, for Companies Act, certain amendments are proposed to be made that will correct this. Similarly, other laws would also be examined where such provisions exist, and attempts would be made to correct them also. The government intends to introduce major reforms in recruitment to non-gazetted posts in governments and public sector banks. At present, candidates have to appear for multiple examinations conducted by multiple agencies at different points of time for similar posts. This places enormous burden on time, effort, and cost for young people. To mitigate the hardship so faced, it is proposed to set up a national recruitment agency as an independent, professional, specialist organization for conduct of computer-based online common eligibility test for recruitment to non-gazetted posts. A test center in every district, particularly in the aspirational districts, would be set up. For speedy disposal of commercial and other disputes, government has constituted various tribunals and specialized bodies. It is proposed to evolve a robust mechanism for appointment, including direct recruitment to these bodies to attract best talents and professional experts. A stable and predictable business environment is a key objective of this government. There is also a strong argument for ensuring that contracts are honored. India has a sound framework related to Contracts Act. We shall deliberate upon strengthening it. There is a growing need, sir, for Indian statistical system to meet the challenges of real-time monitoring of our increasingly complex economy. Data must have strong credibility. The proposed new national policy on official statistics would use latest technology, including artificial intelligence. It would lay down a roadmap towards modernized data collection, integrated information portal, and a timely dissemination of information thus collected. I am happy to inform that India will host G20 presidency in the year 2022. That is the year of 75th anniversary of independence of the Indian nation. During this presidency, India would be able to drive considerably the global economic and development agenda. For this historic occasion, I allocate a sum of 100 crore to begin the preparations. 100 crore rupees. Sir, Northeastern region has a very high priority in government's developmental agenda. Government is ensuring smooth access to financial assistance from multilateral and bilateral funding agencies to help introduce innovative and global best practices. Central government has effectively used an online portal to reduce gestation period of online. This has improved the flow of funds to the Northeast region. The government is fully committed to supporting the all-round development of the newly formed Union Territories of Jammu and Kashmir and the Union Territory of Ladakh. Accordingly, an amount of 30,757 crore has been provided for the financial year 2020-21. An amount of 5,958 crore has been provided for the Union Territory of Ladakh. So that was one hand, which is governance. Now I come to the other, which is the financial sector. If governance was described as one of the pair of the hands holding the bouquet consisting of aspirational India, economic development and caring India, the other is the financial sector. A clean, reliable, robust financial sector is critical to the economy. A clean, reliable and robust financial sector is critical to the economy. In our efforts to achieve the US $5 trillion economy, the financial architecture should evolve. The financial architecture should keep evolving and move from strength to strength. We had earlier approved consolidation of 10 banks into 4. In the last few years, the Government of India has infused about 3,50,000 crores by way of capital into public sector banks for both regulatory and growth purposes. Governance reforms would be carried out in these banks so that they become more competitive. A few among them will be encouraged to approach capital market to raise additional capital. Sir, I wish to inform this august House that robust mechanism is in place to monitor the health of all scheduled commercial banks and that depositors' money is absolutely safe. I wish to underline this point, sir, that this August House should know that robust mechanism is in place to monitor the health of all scheduled commercial banks and that depositors' money is absolutely safe. Further, the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation has been permitted to increase deposit insurance coverage for a depositor, which is now standing at 1 lakh of rupees to 5 lakh per depositor. Sir, the insurance cover for a depositor is at 1 lakh now. Now we are raising it to 5 lakh for each depositor. Sir, to strengthen the cooperative banks, amendments to the Banking Regulation Act are proposed for increasing professionalism, enabling access to capital, and improving governance and oversight for sound banking through the RBI. The limit for NBFCs to be eligible for debt recovery under the Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interests under the SARFAESI Act 2002 is proposed to be reduced from 500 crores to asset size 100 crores only, or loan size from existing 1 crore to 50 lakhs. Therefore, we feel many of the small NBFCs which can come for debt recovery would be far easily done for smaller companies. In the last few years, the government has taken concrete steps to bring our banking system to be robust. However, there is a need for greater private capital. Accordingly, it is proposed to sell the balance holding of Government of India's IDBI Bank to private, retail and institutional investors through the stock exchange. There is a need, sir, to take further steps to bring in transparency and greater professionalism in public sector banks. The government will take appropriate measures towards this end. Sir, to help easy mobility while in jobs, we wish to infuse into the universal pension coverage with auto-enrollment. Also, we wish to place such mechanisms which can enable interoperability and provide safeguards for the accumulated corpus. Regulating role of PFRDAI, which is the pension regulatory body, requires strengthening. Necessary amendments would be carried out in pension fund Regulatory Development Authority of India Act that will also facilitate separation of NPS trust for government employees from the PFRDAI. This would also enable establishment of a pension trust by the employees other than from the government. I am confident that this will motivate citizens to plan for their old age. So this section, which I will now speak, will relate to the MSMEs. MSMEs are vital to keep the wheels of our economy moving. They also create jobs, innovate, and also risk takers, and they are risk takers. Several measures for the MSMEs have been taken in the past few years. There are more steps proposed in this budget also. I propose to make necessary amendments to the Factor Regulation Act 2011. This will enable NBFCs to extend invoice financing to the MSMEs through TREDS, thereby enhancing the economic and financial sustainability. Working capital credit remains a major issue for the MSMEs. It is proposed to introduce a scheme to provide subordinate debt for entrepreneurs of MSMEs. This subordinate debt to be provided by banks would count as quasi-equity and would be fully guaranteed through the Credit Guarantee Trust for medium and small entrepreneurs. The corpus of the CGT MSC would accordingly be augmented by the government. More than 5 lakh MSMEs have benefited from restructuring of debt permitted by RBI in the last year. The restructuring window was to end on 31st March 2020. Government has asked RBI to consider extending this window till 31st March 2021, one more year, so that whoever wants, they can go and approach. An app-based invoice financing loans product will be launched. This will obviate the problem of delayed payments and consequential cash flow mismatches for the MSME. Many mid-sized companies are successful domestically, but not in export markets. For selected sectors such as pharmaceuticals, auto components, and others, we propose to extend hand-holding support for technology upgradations, R&D, business strategy planning, and so on. A scheme of 1,000 crore rupees will be anchored in the Exim Bank together with the SIDBI. Both these institutions would contribute 50 crores each. This 100 crore would be achieved towards equity and technical assistance. Debt funding of 900 crores from banks would be made available. Sir, financial markets. I would like to give a few of the major steps and initiatives being taken by the government for the financial markets. Last year in my budget speech, sir, I had mentioned about deepening the bond markets. To achieve the aspirational growth rate, we would require flow of capital in our financial system. A lot of work has been done on this in consultation with the RBI. Honorable Speaker, sir, I am pleased to inform this House of the developments. Certain specified categories of government securities would be opened fully for non-resident investors, apart from being available to domestic investors also. The limit for FPI in corporate bonds, currently at 9% of outstanding stocks, will be increased to 15% of the outstanding stock of corporate bonds. To improve investors' confidence and to expand the scope of credit default swaps, we propose to formulate a legislation to be placed soon before this House for laying down a mechanism for netting of financial contracts. The debt-based exchange-traded fund, the ETF, recently floated by the government was a big success. Government proposes to expand this by floating a new debt ETF consisting primarily of government securities. This will give retail investors access to government securities as much as giving an attractive investment for pension funds and long-term investors. So to address the liquidity constraints of the NBFCs and the HFCs, this was very much talked about between July and December last year, sir, 2019. Liquidity constraints was very frequently mentioned to us. So to address liquidity constraints of the NBFCs and the housing finance corporations, post the Union Budget 2019-20, the government formulated a partial credit guarantee scheme for the NBFCs. To further the support of providing liquidity, a mechanism would be devised. Government will offer support by guaranteeing securities that are so floated. Infrastructure financing. Government's commitment for investment in infrastructure was reiterated when 103 lakh crore national infrastructure pipeline projects were announced. I would also like to inform that about 22,000 crores of rupees has already been provided as support for infrastructure pipeline. On December 31st, if honorable members would recall, the national pipeline consisting of more than 6,500 projects were announced. 22,000 crore has already been provided as support to infrastructure pipeline. This would cater for equity support to infrastructure companies such as the IIFCL and a subsidiary which is of NIIF. So two institutions, IIFCL and the subsidiary of NIIF, take it. They would leverage as permissible to create financing pipeline of more than 1 lakh crores. This would create a major source of long-term debt financing for infrastructure projects and fulfill a long-awaited requirement. Sir, the IFSC, GIFT City, has the potential to become a center of international finance as well as a center for high-end data processing. GIFT IFSC has an approved free trade zone for housing vaults. It already has 19 insurance entities, 40 banking entities. It has also provided for setting up of precious metals, testing laboratories for them, and refining facilities also. With the approval of the regulator, GIFT City would now set up an international bullion exchange in GIFT City IFSC as an additional option for trade by global market participants. This will enable India to enhance its position worldwide, create jobs in India, and will lead to better price discovery of gold. Sir, in the recent years, there has been a surge in trading volumes of Indian rupee in the offshore financial centers. The government and the RBI has taken various measures to permit rupee derivatives to be traded in the International Financial Services Center at GIFT City, Gujarat. So just a very quick word on disinvestment. Listing of companies on stock exchanges brings discipline, and it disciplines a company and provides access to financial markets and unlocks its value. It also gives opportunity for retail investors to participate in the wealth so created. the government now proposes to sell a part of its holding in the LIC by way of initial public offer. Initial public offer. Sir, fiscal management. The 15th Finance Commission. The 15th Finance Commission has given its first report pertaining to financial year 2020-2021. In the spirit of cooperative federalism, I am pleased to announce that we have in substantial measure accepted the recommendations of the Commission. The Commission would submit its final report to the President during the latter part of the year for 5 years beginning 2021-22. It is decided to transfer to the GST Compensation Fund balances due out of the collection of the years 2016-17 and 17-18 in 2 installments. Hereinafter, transfers to the fund would be limited only to the collection by way of GST compensation cess. A fundamental overhaul of centrally sponsored schemes servicing of interest and repayment of these we have estimated the nominal growth of GDP for year 2020-21 on the basis of trends available at 10%. Accordingly, receipts for the year 2020-21 are estimated at 22.46 lakh crores. And keeping in mind commitment of the government towards various schemes and the need for improvement of the quality of life, level of expenditure has been kept at 30.42 lakh crores. Sir, during the year, government has unfailingly worked towards keeping up capital expenditure. Actually, there is substantial enhancement. All the flagship schemes of the government have been fully provided for. Details may be seen in the annexes to the printed copy of my speech. Every budget must appropriately address the issue of fiscal deficit. Every budget must appropriately address the issue of fiscal deficit. Recently, government has undertaken very significant tax reforms for boosting investment. However, expected tax buoyancy will take time. We estimate a fiscal deficit of 3.8% in RE 2019-20 and 3.5% for BE 2020-2021. This estimation is consistent with the government's abiding commitment to macroeconomic stability, and it comprises of A, 3.3 for year 2019-20 and 3 for the 2020-2021 budget estimate, and B, Section 4.2 of the FRBM Act, which provides for a trigger mechanism for a deviation from the estimated fiscal deficit on account of structural reforms in the economy with unanticipated fiscal implications. Therefore, I have taken a deviation of 0.5% consistent with the Section 4.3 of the FRBM Act, both for RE 2019-20 and BE 2020-21. Accordingly, the return path is being laid before the Parliament as a part of the medium-term fiscal policy cum strategy statement. This fiscal path commits us to the path of fiscal taxation. So in the interim budget of 2019, our government exempted individuals having income up to 5 lakh of rupees from paying any income tax. Presently, an individual pays 20% on income between 5 lakh and 10 lakh, and 30 between 10 lakh. That's the prevailing matrix. Further, currently the Income Tax Act is riddled with various exemptions and deductions which make the taxpayer and administration of Income Tax Act by the tax authorities a burdensome process. It is almost impossible for a taxpayer to comply with income tax law without from professionals. In order to provide significant relief to the individual taxpayers and to simplify the income tax law, I propose to bring a new simplified personal income tax regime wherein income tax rates will be significantly reduced Tax Act may choose to avail them and continue to pay the tax in the exemptions and deductions in the coming years, with a view to further simplifying the tax system and lowering tax rates. Sir, the dividend distribution tax. Currently, companies are required to pay dividend distribution tax on the dividend paid to its shareholders at the rate of 15% plus applicable surcharge and cess, in addition to the tax payable by the company on its profits. It has been argued that the system of levying DDT results in increase in tax burden for investors, and especially those who are liable to pay tax less than the rate of DDT if the dividend income is included in their income. Further, non-availability of credit of DDT to most of the foreign investors in their home country results in reduction of rate of return on equity capital for them. In order to increase the attractiveness of the Indian equity market and to provide relief to a large class of investors, I propose to remove the DDT and adopt the classical system of dividend distribution tax, under which companies would not be required to pay DDT. The dividend shall be taxed only in the hands of the recipients at their applicable rates. From its subsidiary will lead to estimated annual revenue foregone of 25,000 crores. This is another bold move, sir, which will further make India an attractive destination for investment. Sir, concessional rate for electricity generation companies. In order to give boost to the manufacturing sector, new provisions were introduced in September 2019, offering a concessional corporate tax rate of 15% to the newly incorporated domestic companies in the manufacturing sector, which start manufacturing by March 31st.